is Dane County Executive Joe Parisi. I'm here today with John Reimer, the Assistant Director of the Dane County Department of Land and Water Resources. And today we're going to talk about Dane County's sediment removal. What is it, where are we doing it, and why are we doing it? John, thanks so much for being with us today. I think this is going to be a really great episode.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me.
Absolutely. We're at Babcock County Park. This is a really nice park in McFarland. It has a campground, it has a boat launch, some restrooms and a playground area. It's also the site of some of the dredging we're doing, the sediment removal. Now, when people hear we're doing sediment removal, some folks know we're involved in two different projects right now that have to do with sediment removal. One is kind of the more well-known Suck the Muck. And Suck the Muck is a project we have going, John, that removes phosphorus-laden muck. Could you just give us a little brief background on Suck the Muck?
Yeah, Suck the Muck is occurring in our upstream tributaries, which feed our lakes, which have a lot more of the mucky type sediments that have phosphorus attached to them, and we want to remove that for a water quality benefit to our Yahara Lakes.
Okay, great. So in the Suck the Muck, we're removing phosphorus, and today we're talking about a different kind of sediment removal. And what do we refer to this as? Basically, just our sediment removal project?
Yeah, this is our Yahara sediment removal project. In here, the sediment types are more sandy in nature versus the mucky types of our Suck the Muck. And why we're doing this is for water quantity or flow, helping improve our lakes for flooding.
So in 2018, when the floods came and the lakes backed up and we had, just things washing out in various communities throughout Dane County and then flooding in downtown Madison, as the person who kind of oversees our lakes, at least for the lake levels and all of our locks and dams, could you talk to us a little bit about what that event was like for you and what the challenges were based on the conditions that we had then?
Yeah, 2018 was one of our highest, pretty much our highest on record. We were water levels, depending on the lake, were 10 inches above the 100-year water level. So these were historic highs. Many residents were sandbagging. A lot of efforts done to protect homes, protect infrastructure from flooding. After that event, we did an analysis and said, well, what are the different options we could do for flood mitigation? One of them was sediment removal in our Yahara River. We looked at what could be done, and what we found through analysis was that if we would repeat the 2018 year and had all our sediment removal in place, lake levels would be about a foot lower than what they were.
Wow. So as I recall during that event, the places that we do have channels and locks that we control, they were wide open. And there were other areas that there's just a channel between the lakes. Can you talk about kind of why that water backed up? We know it was because of sediment, but as we mentioned, the water comes down, it flows through the lakes. How long does it take that water to move through the lakes?
Yeah, that's a great question. So in 2018, our dams were wide open. Many times we've gotten questions from the public, just open the dams and let the water out. Well, the dams were open, and really the restriction was the river itself. The river could not convey all that water. Meanwhile, the dam was open, and that's what brought us forward with our sediment removal to open up those constriction points.
So, as you mentioned, once this is done, in an event like that, you would expect to be able to have the water levels, the lake levels, a foot lower than we were able to get them during that event. Did I get that right?
Yeah, that's correct. That's what our analysis showed. We worked with several researchers at the university, DNR, and others to really evaluate and determine kind of what this outcome would be.
Wow, that'll make a big difference. So John, we know that we have this problem with the channels being clogged and that we have to open them up. So what does a project like this entail? How do we even begin to approach it?
Yeah, there's multiple aspects to this project. It ranges from the actual construction, permitting, and before we even started any of that was the analysis. How much are we removing? Where are we removing sediment? Then from there, we developed our plans. We work with DNR and other aspects on our permitting. And then we go forward then with either Dane County ourselves doing the dredging with different techniques, or we hire it out and have contractors do the work for us.
So once they go in there and start dredging this material, what do they do with it?
Yeah, so right now the way we do a lot of this work is we dredge the material out, put it in holding ponds or detention ponds, and from there the water settles out, and we can take that material then after it's dry, reuse it for different various construction projects. And in the end, where we end up with that sediment, those areas, we like to restore those to natural areas so that water then can infiltrate into the ground and not run off into our lakes.
Wow, and is it working? How's it going in the places that we've been already?
Yeah, we've made significant progress. We're now on finishing our phase 2, so we are working on phase 3 of our 5-phase plan.
That's great. And you mentioned that we're able to reuse the material, which I think is really great because it's mostly sand, right? Kind of from construction site runoff. Is that what we find?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, use it for sand. Our material has been used under parking lots, roadways, been used for backfill, for sewer pipes, different aspects it's been used for in different construction projects.
John, this is a multi-year initiative, so could you tell us kind of where we're at in this project?
Yeah, so right now we've developed a phase plan approach where we have 5 phases. So currently we've done phase 1, which was between Monona, Wabeesa. Phase 2 work was, we had 2 areas of work, one between Lake Wabeesa and Lower Mud Lake, in another area below Lake Kaganza to about Stoughton area.
Yeah, and right now we're basically near and across the street from Babcock Park in McFarland, so people may even see the big kind of dredge pile where we put all the material to dry when they drive by, and people are saying, what is going on there?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, we have our big pile there, and that's phase 2.
Okay.
So we're finishing phase 2.
Great. John, when we look at some of the areas that we've dredged and where we have retention ponds, it looks like a massive amount of material. Can you give us kind of an idea of the scope of this project?
Yeah, so we've had this phased approach, and each phase has different cubic yards of material, quite a bit of material. So phase 1, we removed about 40,000 cubic yards.
Wow.
Phase 2, we're on track to over 100,000 cubic yards. So this is a lot of material we're removing, which in the river, when we remove that material, it's about 50 feet wide. We make a dredge cut along kind of the deepest part of the river, and then we're going down average about 3 feet or so on average is how much we're removing. So the river depth becomes about 5 feet deep in the center part. Before it was about 2 feet deep.
Yeah, that's really great. And again, one of the things that I like so much about this project is that material is reused, and it's actually displacing having to find new material in some of these
Correct.
projects. So the environmental benefits are multiplied. John, the county has made quite an investment in this project, both with contracting with companies to do this work, and then a few years back, I believe it was 2021, we decided to invest in our own equipment and bring on some of our own staff to help with this work too. Could you talk to us a little bit about that kind of evolution and why we did that and how things are going with it?
Yeah, the county put a significant investment into us acquiring our own dredge and then our own staff. And that's really sped up the process. So that's allowed us to be efficient. Once we have our plans and our permitting, we can go right ahead and start that sediment removal versus some of the process it takes to acquire a contractor. And also what we've done for that, the benefit here where we are right now is at Babcock. This is a great fishery area. So there's a fish refuge area. We wanted our staff to be able to do this project in a sensitive area so that we can restore it and bring it back to that healthy fishery once we're done as well.
Yeah, that's nice. So in addition to the flood mitigation, there are environmental benefits to be had from this project as well.
That's correct. Yeah, we look at these projects kind of a holistic approach where flooding is the main priority, but also how do we provide other benefits? Especially in this area, what we're going to be doing is adding rock in certain areas on the bottom to help with fish spawning and improve that valuable resource that we have here.
Excellent. Your title is Assistant Director of the Department of Land and Water Resources, but that doesn't really capture your background. Folks may not be aware, John has a PhD in environmental and civil engineering, or civil and environmental engineering.
Correct. Yes.
And you are our resident hydrological expert, and you've really been the mastermind behind so many of these projects. And I can see when we work together, you have a passion for this work. And you've just been such a vital piece of this team and our ability to accomplish what we have. I'm just curious, could you tell us a little bit about your journey on this path, kind of how you got interested in this type of work and what led you to our good fortune to be working with Dane County?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so at a young age, I've enjoyed being outdoors, fishing, boating. I love to water ski, so I wanted to do something that was what I love. So work doesn't feel like work every day. It's something that I enjoy to do. And as you mentioned, I have a degree in civil engineering, and I wanted to do work where I live. I want to benefit my community and do things to make this a greater place where I live, where my kids live, and where we all live. So that's why I really enjoy what I do and being here.
Yeah, well, we really appreciate that. I'm glad that you stuck around this community and that you're here to make such a difference for us. How did you find your way into working for Dane County?
Yeah, so in my PhD studies, I had different options to do, working on the Great Lakes, and I really wanted to pick up a project here working on our Yahara Lakes. So I started many years back on developing models and tools for our Yahara Lakes to help assess them, look at flooding, and how we can improve our lake system.
That's great. Well, John, thanks for all you do. You really make a difference, and you and the whole team at Land and Water Resources, you're so committed, and your passion is reflected in the great work. So we really appreciate you. We really appreciate your team, and we look forward to seeing the results of this great project and a lot of the other stuff we have going on. Thanks for joining us today for this episode of Parisi in the Park from Babcock Park in McFarland. John, thanks so much for being with us today to talk about the sediment removal program.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me. It was a fun day.
All right, thanks everyone. We'll see you next time.